Today, our focus will be patriarchy, also how this relates to men in their intimate relationships, and then, of course, the notion of the man that constantly wears the pants. Our topic today, of course, is I am in charge. I believe all men.
And peace can only prevail.
Yeah.
Peace will not prevail when you say I am in charge and you try to enforce your wishes, your whatever you want onto others. And
at the beginning I said, relationships about negotiation.
Yeah.
Have you negotiated for the best type of relationship with yourself?
Yeah.
Have you done that with your partner or with your family?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then reflect on it.
Absolutely.
And when we say reflect, there are plenty of books, plenty of educational material out there that can help you.
Yeah.
So
even though you are a transformed man, you should also be aware that you may be falling into a relationship with a woman who is also not transformed. When I say she's not transformed, she believes that as a man you are in charge and there are certain things that you need to do. So when you try to be that good man, then she will put you under pressure.
Today's conversation is I am how I was raised. So
would never have occurred. I would have never thought about it. So for me, that process of transformation is not so much about pleasing my friends, because you realize that this is a journey that at the end of the day will benefit me the most. It benefits my partner, and then it benefits my children.
Absolutely.
Right? My friends, fine, they're my friends. We can try and have the conversations. Those that really see the journey and want to become transformed, we need to encourage and promote.
Seeking help and apologizing to make amend. Not just apologizing for the sake of apologizing, but to ensure that my apology, I meant it and I bring action of transformation. That's what I mean. When you apologize, you have to bring actions that shows that you are remorseful and you are willing to change. So that is some of the things that I challenge myself all the time.
I'm glad I have escaped from who I was brought up to be, and I'm very happy. You've mentioned choice. I've taken the choice or made the decision to move towards who I want to be in society. So I'm glad I escaped from who I was brought up to be. And moving towards a different direction.
Exactly.
That's what I would say.
With today's topic, which is Am I My Friends? We will be focusing on the key factors of peer pressure amongst men, but also, do our friends have an influence on us when it comes to violence against our sexual partners?
We need to trace back and say, are we promoting good role models? Because a lot of youngsters are lonely in their houses. In the era of technology, the parents will arrive at home, the mother is on Facebook, the father is on Twitter, so there's television left for this child.
I love what you just said. Now, the parents on the socials and the kids are there wondering, okay.
Yes. So now this makes it difficult for this child to acquire the foundational thing or the fundamental things.
What works for me more is the issue of communication and also leading by example.
That it being vital.
Yes, because without leading by example, the influence that you're going to bring out, it is something else. It might be skewed and you will not know about it, which is why it is important for me to be able to lead with an example. Leading by example is by doing.
Because friends are not an automatic thing. Friends are our choices. You can choose to dissociate from a certain group if you see or you sense danger. So, but if a child doesn't know that, if a child lacks self-esteem, self-confidence or self-image, then they would think that if you meet a person who have accepted you, whether they are making decisions to mislead you, you must just belong to that. Because you as a human being has a need to belong. So parenting need to really be taking its leading role in the homestead, because what you do not learn at home, you are likely not to learn it
from your friends
outside.
I would advise a friend to stop violence and find help. You know, there are places where we need to find help as men. In as much as there are not so many platforms like this, where men can come and talk about their issues, and you know, but there are few that are available. There are services that are there out, which one can access, you know, to talk about these things, to talk about your issues, and also to open up. Let us open up. Let us not kill ourselves.
Now, before we get into our discussion, our topic for today, my ideal girl.
I just learned to deal or get in a relationship on the basis of what externally, what looks appealing to me, and not what's internally for me. And I think this is where we start hurting other people. Because I like the external part of you, but the moment you get too close to my internal, I'm like, hey, woo, time out. It's not you, it's me.
And a relationship is also made out of who you are. And if you're going into this relationship and you're carrying a facade, that relationship will become tiring to you because you need to keep that facade up. You feel like when you leave the house of your girlfriend or whatever, you take a breather and you say, I can be myself now, you know?
Because there's no other alternative. There are only two ways out of the situation. Firstly, you need to either speak, cry it out, tell people exactly the way you are feeling, which men don't do, because from an early age you are molded into that machine that doesn't cry or doesn't lash out or stuff like that.
Welcome to what we men get to talk about. My name is Adriano Visagie and I'm your host. Today it's the 5th episode and our focus, women's reflection on our show, proudly brought to you by Regain Trust, MenEngage Namibia Network, as well as the United Nations Population Fund as well. Today it's not a discussion by men for men, however, allowing women on our panel to also discuss with us what we've discussed on the show so far, and also allowing you to interact with us on our social platforms. So I'm going to allow the ladies just to introduce themselves, starting with Constance. Constance, good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, thank you. I'm Constance Mparadzi, social worker at Regain Trust.
I'm Helena Ngaifiwa, brand ambassador for Break from Violence with the Office of the First Lady.
I am Chantal Kangotli, social worker for Regain Trust.
Thank you so much for having and being here. It's such an honor to have all of you and such pivotal roles you play in our society as well. And we're going to dive right into it. You know, before we have spoken of we as men being in charge, we have spoken about peer pressure that's surrounding men as well, and just different discussions amongst men when it comes to patriarchy as well. From your perspective, you know, based on our show, what are your thoughts in terms of what's currently happening in the country and that of men? And let's start with you, Helena.
I think that it's obviously very important that you have a platform like this. So big ups to the team for creating a platform, because I think the biggest cry that we've been having is how do we then bring up the boy child to have role models. So the boy child looking at other men talking about issues that have substance and issues that we see and issues that obviously rise every day is very, very commendable. And seeing that most of the social ill in society are at the hand of our men. And then as women, we also sit back constantly and be like, what is wrong with our men? So I think it's very important that there is a platform where men can actually sit and men can actually talk, and men can bring out those underlying issues as to we are men, and maybe just maybe you guys are not seeing this part of us. So I think it's very important, and I've watched a few episodes and I think that is very brilliant. And sometimes I sit and I look at some of the comments and I'm like, is that so though? I don't think that's what women think. So, and I think that it's exciting that today we have women on the panel, and we can just straighten out a few issues, and we can just be like, it's not that deep, you know. As women, maybe this is what you think, but if you actually look at it, it's not actually like that.
It's not that bad. And from you, Constance.
I'm looking from the angle of the problem that we are having, gender-based violence.
Yeah.
It is very important for men to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So it's like an educating way of how can you bring out the message to other men.
Yeah.
We women, it's not that easy to keep crying every day. That abuse is happening to us, abuse is happening to our children. But also for men to say, stop abuse. It is very important.
Yeah.
And also when men talk to each other, I understand they listen to each other very well than listening to women. I can say that because of the culture issues that we face every day.
Absolutely.
We come from different households where our culture plays a major role.
Absolutely.
So this is very important. It is a great show. I do understand that it is going to make a big or a huge difference in our nation, as well as especially SADC, because we have seen that the issue of men, we just cry.
Yeah.
We don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's
the fact that we're adding some action to it as opposed to just talking about it as well.
So we want to see men talking about it. We want to see men crying. To say that we want to make changes.
Absolutely.
And I'm in pain. To see a man saying, no, I'm being hurt. It's very important.
Absolutely. And just become vulnerable, because I think that's one of the underlying issues. And maybe Chantal, you can add to that. You're a social worker by yourself. Is it hard for men to become vulnerable, especially when it comes to violence towards their partners?
I think it is something that is very much ignored to say that men are not supposed to be vulnerable. But I think men are one of our most vulnerable people we have. And I think this platform creates some sort of encouragement for men to be open about whatever challenges they face. I also think it is some sort of role modeling that can be out there for our young boys. And also for us women to have an insight of what men really think, what men really feel, because we assume all these things about our men because we don't really get the platform where they can openly and honestly talk about their feelings. And I think this is a great environment where it can happen.
I'm going to quickly go back to our first discussion based on our first episode, and that was I'm in charge. So we had many that were sitting in these chairs, and they literally said, you know what, this is how I was brought up, to feel that I'm the man and I'm in charge. And that's what you just said now, Chantal. It's hard for men to also be vulnerable, and maybe bringing back to what Helena has also said, because the boy child has been taught to not cry, not show emotion. From women, what is your expectation, or what grows within you when you hear men says, okay, I'm the man, I'm in charge? What position does that place you in as well? Maybe not yourselves, but also other women.
I think that it's a scary place to be, I would say, because the minute that I understand from cultural norms, the way that we're raised, the man is obviously the protector, he's the provider, he's all of this. But then again, how is this man taking it? And how are you delivering it to the woman? Because now if you want to say that you are in charge, are you in charge in the sense of you're in charge of this person? You're in charge of their life, everything that they do, they need to go through you, you need to okay? Because there's a very thin line between you doing it respectfully and then also, especially when the insecurities and all of that come in, because then you become a total different person, and that's when we end up at the hand of violence, because then men, we're moving away from the old times. We're getting into a different era of time where we need to accept a lot of things, and this era is obviously also accommodating women at the table. And we talk about women at the table, it's not just at the workplace, also in relationships things will change. There's a man who will obviously tell you that I grew up in a world where I've never seen my father in the kitchen. I've never seen him wash dishes. I'm in charge of the house. I'm only supposed to do this.
Why should he do that?
But now we are growing up, the generation that we are in now is a different generation where we're bringing conversations like 50-50 to the table. How are you as a man receiving that? And when you are saying you are in charge, you're like, I'm in charge of this. But then that again, that is where fear comes in from your partner. And that's where you want this person to be submissive of
off you, but you are not even accommodating them. You kind of like you're intimidated, and you have so many insecurities. You're so focused on wanting to be in charge that you cross the line. There's a very thin, I think the line flirts with one another literally, when you just being the man of the house and you wanting to have total control over someone. Because I think that's where the hand then comes in when we get into violence, because now you feel that things are not being done your way. You are my woman. I'm in charge of you. You must wear what I tell you. I'm in charge. You understand?
I'm in charge. In the upper hand and from your end.
I can bring the issue of the way we take things, our daily way of doing our things in life. We condition, or we are conditioned in a way that this is normal when it comes to whatever is happening between my partner and myself. And whereas it should not be like that. It's like we sometimes women say, no, I'm the one who should do dishes. I'm the one who should cook. But he's there. Did you ask him to help you? It's not like that, because I've seen it from
But where does it stem from?
I've seen it from my parents. It's a second culture, or from my forefathers, or from my neighbors, or from my relatives when I was growing up. That my father or my uncle should just sit. And then my mother should do everything. She's standing from morning until at night.
And she even go fetches the wood and the water, and she still needs to cook.
Yes.
Wow.
And then so it's normal. But now it brings in also the issue of abuse. Then you, as a woman, you are tired. You can't keep doing it.
Exactly.
Then there is a time where you need to say, I'm tired or I'm done. I need your help. But I can't say it. I can't open up and tell my husband or my partner that I'm tired. So it's because of what I'm thinking is right that I don't have to ask my husband to do it. But the husband is there to help you as well.
Absolutely.
And plus it's your children there. You can't do everything.
Exactly.
He's there to help those children to grow up in a manner that they will see their father as that father figure who is also there to help the family. So that he can do the same.
Absolutely. And it doesn't just bring that thing to 50-50, but the equality that happens between men and women, because that is what we're trying to drive on our show as well. And I'm going to ask you this, Chantel. You know, what is it from your understanding that's happening in our country, that's happening in relationships, that's concerning you when it comes to GBV?
I think the most concerning thing is how okay society is with GBV happening. There's a lot of awareness happening around speak up, report. However, our cultural influences still plays a very big role as into how accepting our society is of any sort of abuse that happens. It also accommodates the fact that it's not an issue that we should talk about. It should stay in the house. It also talks about or looks at the issues where family, uncles come into the house and an agreement is made between the uncles, and then this wife needs to continue condoning this violence because it's your husband. You do as he says. So for me, it's most definitely how it is condoned, how okay society is with it.
Would you say society has normalized violence?
It has definitely been normalized, especially from the male person as well. If you're not violent, if you're not aggressive, then you are seen as weak, or you are not seen as male enough. And until those mindsets have been shifted, I think we still have quite a way to go in terms of unnormalizing violence. But a lot of work is going into it. This kind of platforms also tries to educate our people as much as they can be educated on not normalizing it. It's not okay.
Helena? I want to get in there a little, not disagree. I myself am a GBV survivor. I was in a situation like that. And I think that sometimes, especially when you are in that situation, when you are in an abusive relationship, I think all of our viewers, everybody watching will agree with me that you pack your bags every day. Because every day you are telling yourself, today is enough, today I'm going. But what is very important also is that you need to have support system around you. But also I think we need to be very realistic. It's like any other addiction or any other problem that you can have. It has to come from you. I keep saying you can take a horse
what is the saying?
You can take a water to the water, but you can't make it drink the water.
Yeah. It's something similar to that, because it has to come in with yourself. Because for example, with me, I was in an abusive relationship to a point where I went to hospital numerous times. But something, I myself had to come to that point to decide, you know what, enough is enough, and I'm done. And I think then also with society comes in sometimes, you need to create a very supportive structure, supportive system for this person, rather than, because sometimes people, you stay in this relationship because of the judgment and because of everything that goes around. And we also need to remember that we wake up every morning because we have one thing in our lives, and it's hope. So when you're in this relationship with this person, remember you fell in love with this person. This person bought you flowers one day. This person promised you, between you and Beyonce, you are the best. So every morning this person will beat you. You'll go to hospital. You'll come back and you'll find roses in your house and he cooked dinner. And for a whole month he's going to do that, and you are going to believe this person is going to change. So I think that we need to also do a lot of interpersonal, especially with counseling and psychology, with individuals that are in these situations.
Is it a norm in Namibia for us and for maybe women to have that type of support, especially when it comes to counseling, maybe seek health facilities, or the spaces government does provide? Is it as accessible? Do a woman, for example, in the north, a Sarah that's perhaps unemployed, has 8 kids, dependent on her husband, does she know of facilities available for her, as opposed to just suffering and saying, you know what, my mom went through abuse, her mom went through abuse, maybe I'm supposed to go through abuse as well?
In most cases, it's difficult for a woman from the village, I can say, to reach out to the services. It's not easy. I can take an example of a woman who is being abused every day, who can't even sleep, who want to get help from the police. But the time that woman walks maybe 10 kilometers to reach to a police station, there at the police station, we are talking about confidentiality, which is not there completely. Where a police officer is asking that woman, everyone is sitting around listening to that story. Then the self-esteem of that woman immediately diminished.
Absolutely.
Then it comes again the issue of, is the police officer going to help in terms of this abuse? In most cases, you hear that the police officer told me that no, this is something to do with family matters. You need to go back home and sort it out. But how can I sort it out? And I'm living with this man who is very abusive, who doesn't listen.
And is stronger than you as in terms of manpower. He's physically stronger than you, as opposed to guiding in terms of saying, you know what, there's a social issue, let's have a recommendation and call me in. Obviously mitigating different ways. And I'm going to ask this randomly, ladies. What are some of the things that you women wish men could understand more? Whether from your personal perspective, whether from what you see in our society. We've seen recently a lady that was almost killed by her boyfriend, partner, with a panga. We've got these cases more and more within our country.
For me, I think the one thing I wish men could unlearn, but I know it is rooted back in culture and everything. It's this sense of entitlement. Our men are too entitled. And until that is addressed, it is really hard because so much work goes into sensitizing the woman, trying to empower her. But as long as this man is untransformed and entitled, how are we going to get through to you as a male person if you still operate from that? I am.
And maybe if can I ask, is that also where we have this notion of where they say we've educated the girl child, but are we able to say we've now educated Helena to that extent whereby there's this man that will suit and understand this woman that has been.
My argument is always, and that's why I'm commending this platform. My argument is always, we are so focused on educating and empowering the girl child that we're forgetting that this girl child has to go in society with an unempowered boy child. So this woman that we have all these conferences for, and we empower her and we give her all the knowledge, we are sending her back home to a cultured rooted man, to a man who doesn't understand what this notion of 50-50 is about, to a man who doesn't understand equality, to a man who doesn't understand all of this. So I think that, and then also things that we should also realize that with many of our programs, we focus mainly on the girls, but we forget that ladies, I like to say, when you get into a relationship, you mustn't get into a relationship to fix a man. Yes. Like you can't say this man has issues, I'm gonna be there for you and I'm gonna fix you, and no. This person needs to get help. And that is exactly because the man is coming from a distorted background. The man is coming from the streets, he's coming from a background where he has a lot of underlying issues that he never dealt with. And automatically you become the punching bag. But he's not even beating you because he doesn't like the earrings. No, he's beating you because there are issues that happened 5 years ago. And when you broke the glass, it brought those memories back, and you become the punching bag. So I really think that our men need to open up more. They need to talk about these issues, and they need to open up. They need to talk about these issues, and also counseling and social work and all of these things is not a platform for just women. And our men also need to stop name calling each other, because as men we are having beer, we're talking about football. The minute you start to cry or to whatever, then you are you are what. So men also need to stop doing that, because then they are also dumbing the other men, and you can't talk about your issues. You are sissy. Men need to stop doing that, because then because what men are then creating, they are creating a society of angry men, and then this angry man is gonna come take out his anger on Helena, who just didn't put salt in the meat.
Absolutely, and that is what we had discussed last week, because our focus was on peer pressure, because as much as I think women also, the guy must drive this and he must have that. So do men as well, in terms of, no, your woman must look this type of way. She must have this type of status in society, because the introduction towards the family, oh no, Helena can cook, Helena has a degree. All these things play such a huge role that, she's a perfect 10, that the bro code, and obviously the ladies have that as well. In terms of the type of violence that is currently happening in our country, what fears you most as women? Is it safe? Is it safe as when it was 10 years ago? Is it safe that you are able to, as a mother, allow your daughter to just easily take a cab? How safe is it that you feel within the spaces that we're finding ourselves?
Not at all. I can say it's like, as a mother, you're constantly reminding yourself about the dangers that are outside there. You think of having a daughter who is going to get a taxi, going home, maybe from the college, going home at night. But do you think that daughter of yours is safe? When every day you hear that a girl child disappeared, and we don't know where that child is. So it brings in a fear of, are men listening, or are they talking about these issues, or are they educating each other that women and children, they need to be protected? Or is something that they go out there and have funny and come back home? Or are men being involved in raising children? It is very important. When you don't raise your children, or you don't know how the importance of bringing a family up, it's not easy for a man to change. So it is very important. I can say that men should be involved in raising their children. It does not matter where that child is, but being part of that child, you are giving that child a good example of, my son, this is the way things should be done. You should be there for your children. Because as a woman, I can do everything. I can try by all means to do everything. But sometimes a father figure is very important.
Absolutely.
You should be there also. Your age, you can be my son. But can we keep talking, like in our culture? Some of those things.
The respect.
I mean, yes,
exactly.
I cannot go deeper.
Exactly.
So if your father is there, your father can go deeper.
Exactly.
You can
and guide.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Father figures are quite important. And as a social worker, Chantal, maybe just elaborate on this, because we've noticed that most of these homes where you find the perpetrators of violence in relationships are from broken homes. And most of them are perhaps from homes where they've made the decision not to, and some have. What is your experience?
I'm thinking back of one of the episodes that was held where I think Mr. Tana was on it, where one of the panelists spoke about how he was raised. He saw his mother, his father being unfaithful towards his mother. He saw his father being abusive towards his mother. And it was a choice that he made.
Yeah.
He was disgusted by that. I don't want to do this to my wife. I don't want to do this to my children.
Yeah.
And I think we come from broken homes, fatherless homes, and it is most definitely contributing towards why men don't take responsibility for fathering. And fathering is not just sending money every month, you know, or buying food or buying shoes. It's being part of raising this child, installing the necessary norms this child will need to have to function in society. So it's important for a father to be an active role player in raising this child, in order for this child not to feel the gap that, okay, I don't know how to be a man. I've never seen anybody do it. A boy should then learn, or a man should then learn from another man. I am a mother, I'm a woman. I cannot teach you how to be a man.
And Helena?
I think then it's also important, as especially with single mothers, I think it's very, very important that if you do find yourself in a situation where the father is not present, unforeseen circumstances, that you find a role model for your son. I'm a single mother, and I have carefully selected the men that I associate my son with. You know, if you living in a condition where the men around you, because kids for them, the uncle that comes to the house, that's the cool uncle. So if the uncle smokes and he does this and he does this, that's what the child is going to do, because Uncle Adriano does it, and Uncle Adriano is the male father figure that I have in my life. So it's also a little bit of a responsibility for us as mothers to guide your child, especially the boy child. Get a role model within society. We grew up in an area where you were raised by everybody in society, where everybody was your parents. And now, obviously, because of all the social ills that are happening, we're holding back. Get a male role model in your community, in your society, whether it's church, whether it's your siblings or whatever, for the child to look up to that person. Because there must be certain morals that a man needs to install into a boy child that a mother would probably not be able to do.
Absolutely. Ladies, so we almost come to the end of our show.
Already?
Almost, But I'm going to run through this again, because I absolutely love what all of you have said, and also the importance of fathers to really play a huge role. On our discussion on the second one, we also spoke of, you know, maybe the father figure should, like you mentioned now, as opposed to smoking, be the father that's washing dishes, be the father that's doing laundry, in order for that boy child to understand, it's okay, I don't have to turn out to be a teenager that is not doing chores and expecting that from the women, you know. So in any relationship whatsoever, should there be any form of violence, what would your advice be to such men and to such women who maybe could not be a Helena, who maybe could not, you know, make that radical decision to say, until here and not furthermore, and I'm leaving this?
I want to hear my men speaking up about what is happening, what is inside him. You know, when men don't speak up, there's these emotions that build in, that when you try to bring it out at a later stage, it explodes. It's toxic. So we want men to speak up. We want them to share their feelings. We want them to cry. Remember, I think I mentioned about crying. We want to see them cry. It's okay. We want, because it's very rare for us to see them cry. We want to see them cry, because they are human beings. They are having emotions. They are being hurt like us women. So we want also, like this platform, we are very, very grateful. this is the beginning. I hope this is not the end.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because
we
we
need
want
to push more of these discussions.
Keep to be educated. Us women want to be educated as well. It's not like us women complaining and being educated. We want to see men also being educated and also being on the forefront of fighting gender-based violence, or maybe curbing, I can say, gender-based violence.
Absolutely.
So that our families, our friends, our relatives can come together and work on the same cause.
Absolutely.
On how can we be a better nation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that,
Right.
Helena?
I think in a relation, when you're getting into a relationship, especially ladies, we're very vulnerable. There are a lot of red flags. Sometimes they are waving right in front of you, but you want to ignore them. And these red flags accumulate to violence at some point. They're red flags if a person is very jealous, for example. She mentioned something of entitlement, where the person has a sense of entitlement. So there are a lot of red flags that this person might have that you need to deal with at an earlier stage of your relationship. If you leave this to a later stage, it's going to be too late for you, and it's also going to be too hard for you. So I think that also our men, it's okay to speak up, and it's okay to just be a man and just talk to me. It's okay. You don't have to be this macho guy around your guys and all of this. It's okay to just be human. Like it's literally okay to just be human.
Helena, I'm going to quickly, before in conclusion, I want to just touch based on, I think, and I'm placing myself in a position where violence occurs in a house. And especially maybe if you could just touch on the basics of, with your violence, where you're a survivor of it, what was that change? Because what was that change that drove you to say, not anymore? What was that thing that ticked you to say, could it be the fact that you landed in a hospital? But obviously you also saw the red flags.
Yes.
What is it that women stay, but then also realize that this is not for me anymore?
I think, like I said in the beginning, is that we're hoping that this person will change. We're hoping that this person will be better. And I think for me, it just came to a point where this person is not going to change. This person is not changing. And I have a son, and when I was in hospital, I remember one of my uncles coming to me and he said, like, you know what? We're not even going to advise you to leave this person anymore. But if you look at your son, next time you land in hospital, you'll probably not see that child again. And for me, that was it. For me, that was it, that I'm actually endangering myself so much, and I'm forgetting that I have a responsibility to other people. So, and I think for me leaving was actually for my son and everybody else, because I needed to get out of that situation. Because if I could land in hospital, the next time I was honestly not even going to be here.
I would just like to add to what Helena is mentioning. I think it's important to understand the cycle of abuse, and it is very contributory to why it takes women so long to actually get to the point of saying, this is enough, not anymore. Once you look at the cycle, it starts with the honeymoon phase, everything is fine, and during this phase the tension built up. Maybe the pot was not closed the way he wanted to be closed, or you walked away while he spoke to you, and the tension is building up, and then it's the tension stage, he hits you, you go back into the whole honeymoon phase, and everything is fine again, we are happy. So as she has mentioned, is that hope of saying, but things are going to go back to how it was before. So let me continue trying. Tomorrow, he's sorry, I know he didn't mean it. And that is a very contributing factor to why women still stay, or why men still stay, and why it takes something really big for them to snap out and be like, but no.
Not anymore. And maybe that trying, does that trying then also adds towards the men? Are the men also in a position to say, you know what, I'm the abuser, I've abused my woman, but I want to still try? Is me coming back to say, okay, since you've forgiven me, we okay, what do you think goes through his mind?
I think until somebody has seek professional help, they're not going to change. Because what happens is they see what they have done is wrong, and they get into a shock mode, and baby, I'm never going to do this. Yo, how did I even beat you? You are so beautiful. Why will I beat you? And then you go through that for like a good 3 months, and then the person gets back to it. But the reason why they bounce back is because this was never dealt with.
The elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room was never dealt with. You just cover it up with pretty roses.
And the longer the abuse, the shorter the honeymoon phase gets. The shorter it gets. So at first it would take him 3 months. Later it will take him 2 days. We'll fight today, tomorrow we'll fight again. That's, So it is a cycle.
I know we're out of time, but also strangely enough, when you are in an abusive relationship, psychologically, you start apologizing for the
what
abuse.
he's
doing. For what he's
you
doing.
start saying, you know what, baby, if I'd actually put salt in the pot, you wouldn't have gotten angry and you wouldn't have beaten me.
You start to justify.
Yes, you start justifying it. So that's why it's very, very important. If you're in an abusive relationship, things will get better, they'll get worse. Get professional help.
Yeah. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to these wonderful ladies who has joined us right here on the panel. We'd love this discussion to continue on our social platforms. Get to share this video, interact. If you are an abuser, if you've survived this, Regain Trust is offering counseling right here. Get in touch with us. Get in touch by inboxing us as well. Thank you so much once more to Regain Trust, also to MenEngage Network Namibia, as well as the United Nations Population Fund. My name is Adriano, and I just want to say once again, ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
And next time we want to sit with the men.
Absolutely.